Get ready to dive into the comic book realm, where heroes rise and villains take the helm. We're here to dissect the stories and the art. Our source material, we tear the panels apart.
Are you ready for the last four?
Let's hit it, baby.
Issue 7, Brás is 38 and now a successful novelist, recognized on planes and at events for his book Silken Eyes. Though admired by strangers who act as if they know him through his work, Brás reflects on how few people truly know him, and his thoughts return to Jorge, his old friend who vanished years ago. Following a postcard, Brás travels to a remote coastal village. He hears from locals how Jorge lived as a drifter, eventually isolating himself in the dunes. When Brás finally finds him, Jorge is gaunt and unstable. The reunion turns violent. Jorge, racked by regret and madness, suddenly attacks and kills Brás before taking his own life. The issue closes with an obituary framing Brás's death as the tragic end of a man who believed in friendship, only to be betrayed by it. In issue 8, we shift focus to Brás's family life, told largely through the perspective of Ana and their son Miguel. Brás, now in his 40s, is often away on book tours, but he leaves behind letters, notes, and messages that tether him to his wife and child. Through Ana's memories and Miguel's admiration, we see the warmth of his presence and deep ache of his absence. Daily routines, breakfast, school pickups, bedtime stories highlight the bonds that define their lives, even as Brás's constant traveling strains them. When Miguel proudly shares his father's words at school, the poignancy of Brás's absence cuts deep. The issue ends with Ana and Miguel clinging to Brás's lingering presence through his letters and recorded words, reminders of love that persists even when the man himself passed away at a hospital. In issue 9, Brás is caught in a layered dream that blurs the line between memory, fantasy, and reality. He drifts through surreal landscapes, guided at times by Jorge, at other times by visions of his son and father. The dream confronts him with the truth he has long avoided, that death is inseparable from life, and endings are what give stories meaning. He explains this to his young son in the dream, likening life to a book that can only be understood once the final page is turned. Moving through symbolic spaces, a canyon, a tree, a beach filled with kites, Brás slowly accepts that he cannot wake up, that this dream is really the passage toward death. At last, he wakes up and steps peacefully into the light, introducing himself as a dreamer, ready to write his own final story. And in the 10th and final issue, bringing Brás's journey to its end at age 76. Diagnosed with brain tumors, he refuses further treatment, choosing instead to spend his last days with his family and in his home. He reflects on the meaning of home, not as a place, but as the people and memories that shape it. Surrounded by his wife and son, he finds peace and continuity, the passing on of family, tradition, and love. His son delivers him a letter written decades earlier by Brás's own father, offering wisdom about parenthood and the inevitability of letting go. As the words guide him, Brás walks alone to the beach at night, casting flowers into the sea and accepting death as part of the great cycle of life. The series closes with him fading into the ocean under a starry sky, his father's letter reminding us that every ending is part of the miracle of existence. All right. That is our final 4 issues. Issue 7, I'm just going to go ahead and touch back on what happened with Jorge. And you tell me if you thought this as well. I feel like the event where Jorge did not die caused him to have some type of mental break. He goes to that island, or he stays on the island. They think he's a tourist at first, and then he just kind of stays there. He doesn't leave. And then he's sitting at the bar writing postcard after postcard. I don't think he sends half of them, if any of them, except for the one that he gets, but there's a ton of them there when Brás finally finds him.
And the disillusionment of adulthood, doesn't it? Here's this guy who, he has kind of a laissez-faire, carefree attitude, but he's also a working man just like Brás. But in his case, adulthood just snapped him. I think there's a lot of this going on in this book where, much like death, adulthood is this force, this entity, and it's not changing. You either live with it or it crushes you. In the case of Linda, she was just like, adulthood sucks, tween forever, runs out the door. In the case of this guy, he can't get his shit together and he has a psychotic break and ends up stabbing Brás on the beach.
took me by surprise. Number one, throughout this whole thing, you're like, Jorge's his best friend. He's going to finally find Jorge. They're going to be buds or whatever, but he finds him and he is just not all right. I think there's also a commentary there about friendships that kind of go away and what it's like to find them again. Now, granted, your best friend that you might have had back in 6th grade isn't going to hopefully stab you to death.
A few people from high school and elementary school that would still stab me to death. Absolutely. Many of which are girls.
Oh, wow.
There's definitely a handful of guys, though. If they fucking see me, I'm a dead man.
Oh, no.
Are you coming to the 30-year reunion? Absolutely not.
Not happening.
Not gonna happen.
Not happening. Yeah, it's tough. And sometimes when you meet up again with that person after so much time has passed, it's almost like they're not the same. Brás is like, come back with me. Come on, let's go back to civilized society. And he is not having it.
I mean, you're still living like in your hometown and whatever else. So you may be connected with people you knew from high school, but through social media, I still see like the occasional person in the same grade or a grade ahead of me on Facebook, and yeah, they're fairly active. They'll post stuff, and I'm as somebody who has been described as a very angry person, I look at what some people put out there from the people I grew up with, all upper middle class, mostly Caucasian, Italian, Irish, Jewish, all the same background. Most of us 2-parent homes. They're also fucking angry. I see so much of that like on social media, at least what they're putting out there. I remember catching up with an old friend, a guy I lived across the street from, and it was like I voiced an opinion that he didn't like, and it was like, you're a Nazi, and like, all right, and was like, I'll never speak to you again. And I'm like, we're barely speaking now.
I don't know how many friendships I've kind of watched dissolve on Facebook. Here lately, it was obviously a lot, but there was a really weird interaction I saw over the weekend. Somebody knew this person from the past, and they were, I'm deleting you, and called them a couple names. You watched the friendship dissolve. Yeah, there's some anger out there for sure.
Just like anger that nobody knows how to handle.
Right. I'm starting to realize that a lot of people believe that is their only outlet to attack somebody online. That is their way of handling their anger. I don't think a lot of people take into account their mental health, Mark.
I was going to say if social media would dry up if everybody had impulse control.
Oh, dude. What would it be like if that wasn't there?
Right.
I mean, do those feelings go away, or do these people start hitting their kids again? Because if that's the case, then I guess social media is serving a purpose.
My children, or put a retard post on Facebook. What am I going to do?
I'll tell you which one you should do.
It's a fair statement, Jesse Starcher.
Issue 8, the one where it is just Anna and Miguel going about their day when Brás dies. That one wrecked me. That was rough.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because we're at issue 8 at this point. We know what's going to happen to Brás.
Right.
We get to watch other people experience that. His son, who's like, I want to say 8 or 9, there's career day going on. And it's like, it's a train wreck now that is going to happen. And you're reading this and you get to watch them experience these feelings. And it's sad, man.
You don't quite know how much you touch the people around you until you're gone. And by then it's too late. Gavin once said, suicide's the most selfish thing because while it may end your pain, you do nothing but cause pain to people around you. You really don't know how your being gone is going to impact the people around you. Look, I have some dark days, but I will always remember that the most important people on earth are my kids, and that's worth fighting another day.
Right.
Everyone has kids that anchor them to the world as they're about to float away into the sun. For a lot of people, it's a bigger struggle. For me, it is the thing that really keeps me grounded. Knowing that if I can't gather the mental strength to continue to go on, do it for them at the very least. A lot of people don't make that calculus.
Well, I'll roll my comments from that into what we learn in the final issue. Brás is now 76 years old, learning that he is going to die eventually, and he's come to accept
brain cancer, right? His brain cancer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's come to accept that he's no longer going to try to fight it. So his son has grown. His son is moving into his mom's old house. And this was a moment, man. There was a copy of Brás's novel sitting on his dad's desk. When the kid moved in, he starts packing up everything in the study. And he tells Brás, he's like, Dad, hey, I found this on Grandpa's old desk in the novel that you wrote. I guess it just sat there. Like, I'm sure his dad was very proud and left it there to understand his son's accomplishments. He said, I open it up and there's this envelope. The envelope contains a letter that his dad wrote on the day his son was born and his wife was in labor. That's the way we close this book. His dad's thoughts on how you are no longer the sole reason for being on this planet. The kid that you are having, that is the sole reason you belong here. That is the sole reason for your existence. This no longer your life now. It is your kids. You are now giving your life to your kids. As he's reading this, on the day he's decided he is leaving, he is done fighting the fight to stay alive, it just hits doubly hard, because that has been sitting there for years, for at least 30 years, and he's never read it. Powerful. It was very powerful. And, he just has that moment that he's sitting there. Gosh, and flipping back to issue 8, before I forget about this, the whole Anna listening to voicemails of Brás that he left, the days before he died. I mean, again, that shit I do with my dad. My dad left me voicemails. I still have shit from 3 or 4 years before he died still saved on my phone, and I listen to it every once in a while. So there's a lot of real experience that this book is talking to me with.
That's the best thing about it. I know I did my usual, I keyed into the relationship or like a toxic woman, but all of this book is just who I am.
And that's all I can be.
But I think if people are like, would you recommend Daytripper? Yes, but I wouldn't recommend it because of any of the other reasons it's been recommended. I would recommend it because I haven't seen two guys in the comic book world really capture human behavior and relationships as good as these two guys did. This is lived experience in comic book form. It's pretty brilliant. Is it like the best thing I've ever read? No, there's stuff that I got more excited about, stuff that kind of touched me. But some people really don't get into media to see real life reflected in any way. They want pure escapism. That's not this book, short of the fact that the guy dies in every chapter. This book very much, I told you, like I said, there were at least 2 different occasions where I almost threw the book out the window.
Right.
It got to me so badly. And people would really struggle with that. Like, I would guarantee you, if we had 10 of, like, we had Chris Bailey, Ronnie, Alexis, Pat, and Robert read this book, we would get 10 different reactions. At least 3 or 4 of those guys would be like, this isn't why I read comics, and set it on fire. This is a semi-legitimate criticism of, I read comics for fantasy, I read comics for escapism. I don't read to be reminded people are shitty. Life is short. Death comes for us all. Thanks, I got it. Life is also hard. No shit. My action comics. I'm glad we did this. This is one of those where I kind of fell ass backwards into doing this book because I was looking for something connected to the Crow. I was curious about Daytripper because I kept seeing it everywhere. Now that I've read it, I get why this got an Eisner Award. I get why I also understand why people actively ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a weird book. Like, the artist in me appreciates what's going on in this book. The business person in me is like, who did you make this for? Who reads comics? Like, how did we decide that audience in this format? I have this really great idea, and every issue the guy dies, and it's going to talk about life, the universe, and everything, and relationships. It's going to be like every emotional pain you've ever felt is going to be in this book, from birth to death. Great. How do you want to tell that story? I'm thinking comic book. The shit that Superman's in? But here we are. This is the book right here. It's a comic book.
That's what makes the medium beautiful and, by the way, so accessible.
What'd you think of the Doonesbury artwork?
I didn't hate it. I honestly did not. I thought that there is a place for that type of art, and it didn't detract from the story for me.
I was actually expecting it to be a little bit more loose, a little bit more fluid, especially because like
because of the title, right?
Well, that, and also because the use of watercolor. But that's only in the covers. If they were using watercolors throughout the book, it doesn't show because the artwork is still pretty sharp, very defined.
All right, well, that was your final thoughts. I definitely think that if you want to read a comic about life and death, much like what we talked about with the many deaths of Layla Starr,
you want to be depressed for an hour.
You're not
angry, and angry the rest of the day.
I think a lot of what I worked through reading this, there was a bit of like, okay, why is this happening to this guy? Okay, there's a message here. Am I getting the message? And then, talking it out. I think this is one of those books that's perfect for a book club, because just like you said, if we had 5 or 6 different people that read the book, they're going to come at it with their own. You heard so many lived experiences that I had tonight, because this book echoed that for me. And I think it has a lot to offer of those same experiences for everybody.
I didn't really relate to the book at all.
I don't know about that. All right. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We discussed Daytripper. Mark Radlich, let's go ahead and get into plugs.
All righty. Well, the next time we're doing source material, we're skipping the month of October. And we're going right into November because we're prepping for Christmas. I originally was stacking books, and then you hollered at me, so I just left one book, but it's only 80 pages long. I want to talk about Santa Claus Private Eye by Jeremy Bernstein.
I've never heard of this. It sounds interesting, though.
Yeah, one day each year, Santa Claus brings presents to the children all over the world. The other 364, he moonlights as Nick Santana.
Nick Santana.
Trying to make his way in a lonely city. This is right up our alley.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you got to have something else to do the rest of the year.
We all need a hobby.
I love it.
Absolutely. So that's what we're going to talk about next, and then maybe we'll add something to that particular episode.
80 pages is not a lot.
Okay, well, you and I will talk and see what else we're going to talk about on that episode. That is our anchor book that we're doing, because I initially had more, and then I was like, oh, I don't know how many issues this amounts to, so I'll just do the one book and not get myself in trouble. In the meantime, tomorrow, you'll be back again.
I will.
I Can't Quit You, Jesse Stalcher. We're going to be talking Happy Gilmore 2, Heads of State, and the Thursday Murder Club. Have you finished watching all these movies? It's
funny, because this is one of the few times I watched all of these movies before you scheduled them.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, like I watched the Thursday Murder Club. I was like, oh, I got to watch this. And then I was like, what the heck is Heads of State? Oh, that's right. I watched it like a month ago with Mindy. And then Happy Gilmore 2, we watched it within 2 or 3 days after it released on Netflix.
That one I watched a little while ago because Erica and I watched it. All right. Then Alexis and Robert will be reviewing Damn You Hollywood. They'll be reviewing The Long Walk. I will be going to Cage the Elephant on Wednesday, but you and Alexis will be reviewing Stranger Things Season 2. And then I'll be back on Thursday with David and Kathleen Scott. We will be talking Star Trek Strange New World Season 3. Next week, you and I will be doing Paradise Lost Ascension on the Metal Hammer of Doom Jukebox. Then we'll be doing Him on Damn You Hollywood. Him! And Wednesday, Harry Broadhurst and I will be doing Beyond Wrestling, American Rana. Yeah.
Okay.
And then finally, another triple feature catch-up episode. Myself, Mick, and Robert, and Gavin. We'll see who actually shows up. We'll be reviewing Drop, Echo, and Sinners. Yep, it's September. We're finally getting to Sinners, the one movie everyone fucking loved when it came out and saw. And we skipped because I wanted to talk about WrestleMania instead.
I have not had a chance to watch it, but I've been wanting
You're the only one.
Apparently.
What's going on with you?
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow on the Source Material Comics podcast, Darth Vader, the 3rd volume is going to drop. You can hear me and Mark Radlich reach the end of the saga that occurred in Marvel Comics. Darth Vader, we talked about Vader Down already. Now we're getting into some of the crazy stuff, the Shu-Torun War. Darth Vader takes control of a space whale and drives it right into the sun. Spoiler alert. That's going to air tomorrow. Last week on Unspoken Issues, myself and Chris Armstrong got together and we discussed Spectacular Spider-Man number 185. Next up, Snap Material. Yes, myself and Evan Bevins got together a couple weeks ago and talked about the latest season of Snap, Marvel's mobile game that you can play called Marvel Snap that's on your phone. We talked about last season, upcoming season. Our top 5 was fun. Evan's like, let's just do top 5 character / cards that remind you of football. Doing top 5s, Marvel Snap top 5s with Evan is fun because we do some off the wall crap. It's fun to see how much overlap we have because we each have a top 5. That was a good time. At the very least, check that episode out. I'm sure it'll keep you entertained. One more plug for Unspoken Issues. I'm currently in the process of doing Black September. That was an event that occurred 30 years ago where Marvel acquired Malibu. And they were like, hey, we're going to bring this universe into ours. We're going to fold it in. You ever hear about Prime, Mark?
Yeah, we talked about this.
You ever hear about Hard Case?
Yeah.
Ultra Force? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you heard about them 30 years ago. You hear about them now? No, you don't.
Why are you yelling at me?
There's a lot of anger and upsettedness about the fact that they took these characters, own the universe, and now they just don't use them because of reasons. You can hear me and Chris Armstrong and some great backing tracks to some of the story that's happening there. All September long, I'm covering that whole event that occurred 30 years ago, at least the lead up to Black September and the first issues of the reboot. So that's it. That's all I have.
Thanks for joining us. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.